My name is Hayat. As a religion class, we have learned about all religions and how they may face discrimination, especially Sikhism. Now, this is a personal question. As a Sikh, how do you deal with the Sikhism, with the discrimination you face? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I mean, this is, this is obviously why I'm probably in this field. There are many things in life that kind of shape who you are, what you become, and what your passion is. And for myself, as a Sikh, we have constantly been on the run since the 40s, I would say. My grandparents left India before the partition of India and Pakistan. My parents moved me from Tehran, Iran, because of the revolution in 1980. My dad had a lot of Jewish partners at the time and just wasn't a very safe environment. We moved to India in 1984, and then the sixth holiest shrine was attacked by the Indian government, Harmandir Sahib, the Golden Temple. We moved to the U.S. I faced a lot of bullying growing up. 9/11 was a big turning point for me. I was in college at that time. I was thinking about becoming a doctor, going into medicine. And then I saw a lot of Sikhs being pulled off trains, arbitrarily arrested, their articles of faith being demonized, both by the media, by politicians and others. And it was heartbreaking to see, especially a lot of young children, right? I grew up in, people would call me all sorts of things, but it'd be like cartoon characters, right? They call me a Smurf or something else. But my cousins, my younger cousins and others were being called terrorists. And what that does to a young person at, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, I can't even imagine how devastating that would be. So a lot of these issues throughout my own life, but also seeing things post 9/11, really pushed me towards seeing how I could first help my community. What's the difference that I can make to protect my community, whether it's from bullying, whether it's from hate crimes, whether it's from employment discrimination, whether it's from racial profiling at airports, right? So right after law school, I joined an organization called United Sikhs, which was a civil and human rights organization. At least that was my role, and a lot of it was focused on protecting the Sikh community. But from that experience, I also realized that there's many other communities that are similarly situated to Sikhs, right? We're facing bullying, but also Muslims, Arabs, black children, Hispanic children, LGBT students. How many people are facing bullying at disparate rates, at high rates? Profiling. It's not just a matter of Sikhs, Muslims. You had studies done in New York that showed there were some communities in the Bronx that 9 out of every 10 black person had been stopped and frisked, right? So profiling impacts many communities. So when we kept on looking at these things like religious freedom as well, we're like, it's not just about our community. What can we do to kind of extend our hand and say, look, we are all suffering from these things, from discrimination in many ways. How can we work together? And that's what ICAAD seeks to do. It seeks to bridge different communities to come together and to work on these issues. So when we take a case, it's often the case that impacts multiple communities, not just one community. And so when we look at our bullying work, we went out and did the surveys on the Sikh community. But what we want to do is bring in the LGBT community, bring in the Muslim and Arab community, bring in others that are facing this at a very high level. And as you may know, there was the devastating massacre at Oak Creek, Wisconsin, at the Sikh Gurdwara or house of worship, where 6 members who were praying were killed by a white supremacist who came in and basically opened fire and then killed himself. That wakes you up. And for us, that had been a common reality post 9/11. There had been over 700 hate crimes against the Sikh community, but no one had talked about it. The FBI doesn't even document hate crimes against Sikhs, which is one project we're actually working on right now to get coding for Sikhs, Hindus, and Arabs, because hate crimes forms don't even have those communities on there. So there's big challenges both, societally, but also from the government in order to get them to recognize that these issues are really hurting and impacting these communities.